We're live.
Hi, I'm Debbie Lucci with the Deborah Lucci team, William Raveis Realtors. We're about 35 minutes north of Boston, and we are a real estate team in the Andover, North Andover area. And we have some team members here with us today. We have Diana Silva, we have Erin, we have Amanda, Leah, Mackenzie, and Elisa. And we have a guest with us today, Racheal Woods. So Racheal, tell us what your company is, what you do. Tell us a little bit about what you do right now.
Sure. So I am an account executive for Raveis Purchase. We are a service offered through William Raveis to help clients throughout the homeownership life cycle. So we offer services to basically help you buy your next home before you sell your existing home or become a cash buyer so that you can be as competitive as possible when you're making offers on houses, or even prepare your home to go on the market and defer the cost on that work until you actually sell the house. So basically some kind of creative financing solutions to help people get through the market today.
So I've noticed in a lot of the offers that we have on our property, there's a lot of people that have cash offers, and the customers, the sellers feel very comfortable with them. So tell us, for example, if you had a buyer that came in, what they would have to do to get a cash offer, and if they already have another house, how does that work? Things like that.
Sure. So we can basically customize a solution to any client's needs, but typically speaking, or generally speaking, the Raveis Purchase or the cash bid program is going to be the best solution for clients in those situations. So if you have clients who need to sell in order to buy, maybe they are currently contingent or need the equity from their existing home, Raveis Purchase is the best solution for them. With that program, we will buy a seller's home from them for up to 80% of the home's value, allowing them to pay off their mortgage and unlock equity so that they are now non-contingent and have cash in hand to, more easily qualify or be more competitive when they're buying a next house. And then we allow them the time to move at their own pace so they can live in their existing home while they shop for a new house. And once they're able to move out, we resell the property and they get the rest of their equity basically once the home resells. So they're getting full market value. It's just coming in 2 checks instead of 1, and it's enabling them to move at their own pace, be more competitive, become non-contingent, and just kind of avoid the hassle of the traditional home sale process. Then for clients who maybe don't have a home to sell and are just in the situation we see many people in now where they are putting in offers on houses and they keep losing out to cash buyers, we have a solution for them as well. We have a program called Cash Bid where we will essentially allow clients to use our cash to be more competitive when they're making offers on their next property. So essentially, we will buy a house on their behalf. We are making a cash offer, or we're purchasing that property in cash so we can be as competitive as possible, close quickly, and then essentially they buy the home back from us with a mortgage that they've obtained through Raveis Mortgage. So we're buying the property, holding it, and then allowing them to buy it back from us, so that they can go in with cash, be competitive, but ultimately still get the mortgage that they were originally planning to get.
Interesting. Do you ladies have any questions?
Racheal, on the cash bid program, so are you, if you're a buyer, are you limited to the amount that you can offer on a property? Or does that not matter? For example, a lot of the properties today in our area, not a lot of them are selling right at listing price. A lot are going over asking. So, as a buyer, can you just, say that you want to go in at this amount, and is that okay? And will you loan the cash? How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So you are definitely able to offer over asking price with the cash bid program as long as you are pre-approved for whatever amount you're offering and are going to be able to obtain a mortgage. It's perfectly fine with us. The buyer is still in control of setting what they want, or setting the terms that they want to include in the offer. We're just the ones who are kind of, signing on the dotted line on their behalf so that they can be as competitive as possible. So yeah, you can absolutely ask over or offer over asking price.
Now, Racheal, are appraisals ever really an issue? Have you seen that come up so far?
So with the cash bid program or with the Raveis purchase, or either?
Yeah, probably either.
Yeah, so with the Raveis purchase program, we do order an appraisal, and that's what sets the initial price at which we'll purchase the house. We do track our statistics with that, and they come in with about 99% accuracy of an agent CMA. So we've seen some really positive results and know that, those are coming in kind of where we need them to be. On the cash buyer side, there is a risk that the buyer could take on if they chose to waive an appraisal because we're going in with cash, that they might have to make up some cash on the other side. Typically, we do not recommend that a client waives every contingency, even though we're going in with a cash offer, because ultimately they will be buying a home with a mortgage and some of those restrictions still apply. However, that's up to them, and they're more than welcome to take that risk if they would like.
Who's your friend, Racheal?
I know. I'll have to bring her on camera in a second. She just, the mailman comes and dogs are like.
That's Joanne D. too, our team member. At 1 o'clock, her dog's barking for the mailman. So
Yeah, I know. I'm like, bad timing. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
But yeah, the appraisal hasn't been an issue yet. We always, recommend leaning on the side of caution, but ultimately we understand it's a really competitive market. And so people are maybe being have to be a little bit more aggressive than they would normally.
all right, so
Go ahead.
go ahead, Elisa.
Do the buyers, so I'm just talking from a buyer standpoint, do the buyers have to obtain a certain mortgage through Raveis? Like it has to be a conventional with X amount down in order to qualify for this program?
Yeah, so with the cash bid program, we do require that a client provides us a 20% deposit before we will make any offers on their behalf. When they go to actually obtain a mortgage, we don't have that requirement. If they want to put less down and their lender is fine with that, it's no problem for us. Either way, though, we do have to hold that 20% until they buy the property back from us, and then that money is applied to their down payment as it normally would be, and they can use it, kind of however they want. And as far as kind of the lending process, the only thing we do require is that they get a certified pre-approval from Raveis Mortgage, which is just a little bit more in depth. It's going through the full underwriting process for the pre-approval, so that we can make sure they're like very, very qualified, which helps reduce some of the risk that they would be taking on since, we're going with cash and then they'll be buying the property from us afterwards.
It's almost like a commitment letter. Yeah.
Exactly.
And so one other question is, if we had a buyer that wanted to do something like that, like how much time is it from beginning to end of, being qualified to do this? You go through the stage of getting the certified pre-approval, and then
The friends joined. Hi.
and then you need, and then what else do you need to do? I mean, is there an extra step they need to take, or is it just as long as they get that certified pre-approval and they qualify, they're good to go, and they show that they have proof of funds?
Yeah, so they get the certified pre-approval and they present us that as well as the proof of funds. From there, we're able to move really quickly. So they are signing a contract with us that basically is giving them first right to purchase the property. So we're buying it on their behalf. It's, calling out a particular property by address and then giving them the first right to purchase it is kind of what the contract looks like. We can pull all of that together and be making an offer within 1 business day. However, I do know that the certified pre-approval takes a couple of days to happen because it is like I said, a full underwriting process. But as far as my portion goes, 1 business day is all we need before we can be making offers on their behalf. And then we're going in with cash so we can close as quickly as, a cash buyer can close basically.
And so obviously there's no financing, appraisal, et cetera. What about home inspection? Will William Raveis require them to have a home inspection?
We don't require it. However, we do always recommend it, again, just so that the buyer has some protection and we can try to, if something were to come up, we can stop the transaction before we've actually purchased it, and then, them not be able to buy it back from us or not want the house or, something along those lines. So it's not required, but we do recommend it.
And then the fee, my last question is the fee that would go along. What would the buyer owe as a fee? I'm assuming it's based on the purchase price of the property.
The fee is a percentage of the purchase price. Our fee, there's a base fee of 3% plus 0.5% per month that we own the property until they buy it back from us. That also is basically based on that, the 80% advance, since they provided a 20% deposit to us, that's based on the 80% advance number. So if you have a client who is able to provide a larger deposit, then we do have some wiggle room and can reduce that fee. And again, we're able to customize that solution to every client. But kind of generally speaking, 3% base fee plus 0.5% per month.
Wow, that seems like pretty good insurance there. Now,
Yeah.
how long can you hold this house for? Does Raveis have purchased it? Do they have a time limit? Like you can't hold that house for more than a year or something, or?
Yes, so the general timeline that we have included in our contract is 90 days to purchase the property back from us. And that's because that's the timeline that aligns with the certified pre-approval. They're good for 90 days. So that's kind of what our contract is in line with. However, we try to be as flexible as possible. So, we want to help as many people as we can get the house that they want. But generally speaking, that's kind of the timeline.
So what does it look like if you end up going outside of that 90 days and they aren't able to buy it back from you? Is there an extension period? Can you sell it to somebody else? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, exactly. So if they are still trying to purchase the property, we would very much so like them to buy it from us. It's easier for us. It's better for them. Everyone's happy. So we would definitely try to extend it. If they can't qualify for a mortgage or can't buy the house, we would then put it on the open market at that point. And essentially, any money that we aren't able to recoup by reselling the property comes out of that 20%. And then the rest is returned to them. If we're able to recoup all of our money, then the entire 20% deposit they gave is returned, and we kind of go our separate ways from there. So our goal is always to help the client get into the house that they want and not have to do that. But obviously things do happen sometimes.
Racheal, is there an appraisal when the buyer buys the property back from you?
Correct. Yes, there would be an appraisal because at that point they will be getting a mortgage. And so I guess unless they get an appraisal waiver, an appraisal would be required when they're purchasing the property from us.
What if the rates go up, Racheal?
That's a good question. It would be subject to the rates at the time. So that's part of the good, or some of the good news is that with the certified pre-approval, they're able to move really quickly once we have purchased the property. So hopefully it's a short enough time frame where rates haven't increased. But if the rates did increase, then they would be, subject to that increase.
And so that goes, I'm assuming both directions. If they were to decrease, they would.
Yeah, exactly.
From that as well.
Exactly. It would be just like qualifying for a mortgage, finding a property and then qualifying for a mortgage in a pretty traditional sense once after we've purchased the house and they're buying it back.
Is there a benefit to them when they buy their new home to stay with Raveis opposed to another bank?
I think yes, because of the certified pre-approval, it's definitely to their advantage to stay with Raveis Mortgage. One, because they've already gone through a full underwriting process. So like I said, it's a little bit quicker to obtain the mortgage at that point. And two, because Raveis Mortgage is already very familiar with this product. And so we work pretty closely to kind of basically make the timeline as quick as possible so that they can buy the house from us as fast as possible. So yeah, there are some definite advantages to working with Raveis Mortgage.
One of the things I find fascinating is how can you get a certified pre-approval so quickly and it takes 4 to 5 weeks to get a commitment?
Oh, that's not a question for me. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, it just was when you were talking, I'm just like, why are we waiting all this time to get a commitment letter? Maybe because, I don't know, you don't have to go to PNS, you don't have to do a lot of other things in between. So who is appraising this property? Is it an appraiser or is it agents?
For when the client is purchasing the home back from us,
Yes.
it would be the appraiser required by Raveis Mortgage. I don't know the name of them, but it's whoever Raveis Mortgage requires.
How often are you seeing this program up in the Northeast? I know it's relatively newer in itself, so.
It is relatively new. In the past couple of weeks, I've seen a pretty big increase in interest. I think because the spring market is coming up and people know that there's about to be a lot on the market and it's going to start getting really competitive again. I mean, it's always been competitive, but I think with the upcoming spring market, it's been picking up a lot in the past few weeks. So I have several people right now who are kind of teed up and ready to go. So once they do find the house, they can, make that move and be a cash buyer. Same goes for the Raveis purchase program. It's been in very high demand the past, I would say, 2-3 weeks. Lots of people who are basically trying to get prepared to put their home on the market quickly and buy quickly as soon as the spring market is really, opened up.
So in a typical timeline, so say this makes sense, they want to do Raveis purchase, you'd purchase their house, sign all the paperwork. We still have our stager, we still have our photographer that we line up and we go through that process with them. So it's just other than that, they're still dealing with us.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
And the seller remains for Raveis purchase. The seller remains in control of the property even after we purchased it. So they're making decisions about what work, if any, is done. They're still involved in setting list price, accepting and rejecting offers, all of that good stuff. We're just buying the property as a means of helping them get from point A to point B more easily, or unlock that equity, or become non-contingent, or whatever they need to do. So yes, they're very much involved in the process and still working with you as they normally would.
Perfect.
Do you work together with Raveis Refresh a lot?
Yes, and actually, we have some really great statistics on Raveis Refresh from last year that show clients.
So, Racheal, explain what that is. So some people may not know what Raveis Refresh is.
Sure, it's a pre-sale home prep service. So basically, we can help clients prepare their house to go on the market with the option to defer payment until they close. So renovate now, no cash out of pocket. That can include anything from painting to staging, flooring, landscaping. It can be deferred maintenance issues like roof repair, replacement, HVAC work, literally anything the home may need to maximize the value and appeal to the largest audience of buyers, we can incorporate into Raveis Refresh and help the client do it without having to pay out of pocket. We also don't have any dollar scope limits with that program. So big or small, you can literally bring anything to us and we can, help you out. And it's also a really great tool to use in combination with the Raveis purchase program, especially if you're doing some larger scale projects, like if you're renovating a bathroom or a kitchen, something where you may have to go without a kitchen for a period of time. We can use Raveis purchase, get you out of the house and into your new one, then come in, renovate the kitchen, maximize the value, resell it, and you as the seller keep the upside. Our statistics on Raveis Refresh from 2021 also show that those who chose to participate in the program were able to sell their homes for 11.1% more and 4 times as fast as the broader market. So again, some really, really great stuff there in terms of return on investment, and a great way to make up for the cost if you are using the Raveis purchase program and still make more money than you would in a traditional sale.
That's pretty amazing. I know we're seeing it here. We have a couple of homes right now. One is that we just closed on, that was updated and one that just went under agreement that was not, that were very similar, and there was a huge price difference between the two homes. So, this updating the house, it does make a big difference, but you also have to hit the market right too.
Exactly. And well, and I've gotten a lot of people who have said recently, why would I do anything to my home? It's going to sell really fast anyways. And in my opinion, you're still potentially leaving money on the table. And why would you want to do that? So, I mean, obviously there's a cost benefit analysis, and we're happy to kind of help you determine if it's going to make sense. But it's definitely still a great tool to make sure that you're getting as much out of your property as you possibly can.
Racheal, for Raveis Refresh, like how soon can somebody start renovating the project? Like, let's say I don't know, for example, let's say it's like just a kitchen renovation. Like, how quickly can you do it? Because like Debbie said, like timing is so important. And I think, that's a lot of sellers that we're meeting with right now. It's sort of just like, okay, let's, get it cleaned up. Let's get a stager in here. If you need to repaint, like, let's do these things to make it, look showroom ready, as opposed to doing these and price it just, accordingly, as opposed to going through these renovations, because nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody, we all expect the market to remain strong in the way that it is going. But let's say something like drastically happens with rates, and now there's a lot of buyers that are priced out of the market. So I guess back to my original question, like how quickly can you get it done?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little difficult to say because it does depend on a lot of different things. One, we're working with local vendors, so it depends on kind of their timelines and how busy they are. Although we do tend to get priority since we do a lot of projects and are bringing vendors a lot of business. We're also happy to work with you or your clients' preferred vendors. So that's a good thing. If you have someone who can come in and do the work and do it now and do it fast, and you just need the cash, then you're more than welcome to just use us for the financing aspect of it. But I would say generally speaking, the typical scope of work that we see is like a 2 to 3 week timeline, and it includes pretty cosmetic things that are just helping a property look fresh and clean, show well in pictures, and just giving it that little bump above what maybe the rest of the market looks like. So I would say that's kind of the general timeline that we're seeing, 2 to 3 weeks.
So Racheal, let's do an example. I've got a house that needs, a good deep cleaning, some painting, also extensive like decluttering. Would you front the money for that? And we would hire our own people. So, sometimes, if they're local, we can get them to kind of come in and move a little bit. You know what I mean? And would Raveis purchase would front the money for something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we're happy to work with your preferred vendors. If you don't have vendors, we do have some on our platform, and we're also happy to source on your behalf, and find the people who are going to be able to come out and do the work as quickly as possible, and are going to be as affordable as we can possibly be. But yeah, we would absolutely, that's a pretty typical scope of work that we do see with Raveis Refresh. And it even extends to things like, kind of painting, flooring, landscaping, deep cleaning, decluttering. Those are all very common things that we see with the refresh program, things that we're doing on like pretty much every house that we come across.
Okay, so let's use an example. Let's say that this is my house and this is what I need done on it. And all right, so I'm assuming you need invoices from the people that we're going to do business with, correct?
You actually will loop us in from the beginning. So we verify that all of the vendors are licensed and insured, and then we work with them directly. So even if they're your preferred vendors, we'll still take on the weight of having to deal with them on the kind of day-to-day basis so that you can focus on your jobs.
Nice.
Yeah, so loop us in from the beginning. We'll work with them directly to get the quotes put together. And then we basically present that to you and the homeowner to review. You're obviously free to pick and choose what you want to proceed with at that point, add work, subtract work. If you decide you don't want to go forward with anything, that's perfectly fine as well. Having a designer consultation or us putting the vendor quotes together doesn't cost any money. And then if you do want to go forward, you sign a contract with us and we take over project management. So we're still coordinating with the vendors, making sure we're staying on track as far as timeline, handling any issues if they come up. And then once the work is completed, the home goes on the market as it normally would.
Interesting. Now, what is the cost for something like that?
Again, it's going to vary depending on the scope, the size of the house, the kind of price point. We have vendors ranging from, to accommodate kind of all price points. But I do have an example of a project that we recently finished, which is pretty indicative of our typical scope. This was a home. It was approximately 2,500 square feet, and we did painting, flooring, replaced pavers outside, and then did some minor renovations to the bathroom. So replacing the vanity, new mirror, new light fixture, things like that. The total scope was $25,000, and it took 2.5 weeks to complete. So that should give you a pretty good idea of that's a very normal project for us. And that particular property, they actually participated in Raveis purchase as well. So we did an appraisal on the home, and then it ended up, we did the work to it and then it ended up reselling. So we know that the home was worth $490,000 before we did anything to it. We did the $25,000 worth of work, and then it ended up selling at $540,000 and was only on the market for 5 days before they accepted that offer. So huge return for the client, and she was already out of the house by the time we were starting any of the work.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing.
I have a quick question. Racheal, how does this program play out if, say, they do the work, but then the seller decides that they don't want to sell, or it becomes expired or canceled? Do they have to sign some sort of contract that you will eventually get the money back, or how does that work?
Yeah, so they are signing a contract with us that basically says if the home does not sell or is taken off the market, or they decide not to sell it, then payment is due at that time. So then we would essentially just be acting as a typical general contractor, and they would be paying us based on, kind of a standard GC terms.
Interesting.
Can I just ask can I just go back to the cash bid?
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to do a quick equation here with you, if that's okay. So
Sure.
I'm going to throw out an arbitrary number. Say if they bought $1 million property.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they're buying $1 million property, and they're paying, you said 3% of the purchase price?
Correct.
Would go back to William Raveis.
Exactly. So we would be buying a home on their behalf for $1 million, and then we are selling it back to them for $1,030,000. So
$1,030,000
plus the fee. So the good news about that, since we're selling it back to them for $1,030,000, is that as long as the home can appraise for that 3% more, then that's a cost that can potentially be incorporated into their mortgage. So they aren't having to pay any money out of pocket to use the service. And another benefit, which we hadn't touched on, is that on average, clients are able to save 3 to 4% by going in with cash versus a financed offer. So there is a lot of potential for them to actually save a little money on the offer that they're making. And then by the time we're incorporating the fee, it's kind of a wash if they had gotten the house, it paid with it with financing, or something along. Does that make sense?
It does. But I just think this is important because, when you're getting pre-approved, the consumer needs to take that into consideration, that there needs to be a buffer zone of their max price because of the fee. I think it's a great option to have, but just knowing that they have to go back and purchase it for that amount. So they need to, so I mean, I'm assuming, when you pre-approve them, when they go through that certified pre-approval, this is all in consideration here, that you're saying, this is based on the extra 3% fee. If we're carrying the property for 90 days, this is X amount of dollars what you're going to owe.
Yeah, and that's another benefit of working with Raveis Mortgage as well, is that since they're so familiar with the product and we talk about it all the time, they're very good at being able to help guide a client kind of through what's going to make the most sense for them and where it's going to work and kind of what their actual maximums and minimums are. And they're really great at playing with the numbers to make it work to their benefit and make sure that they can, do what they want basically. But yes, yeah, they're very creative too in the way they can, play with the numbers to make it all work out. But it is something to take into consideration.
Thank you.
Any more questions, ladies? No?
No, I think we're good.
So Racheal, if people want to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
Oh,
Where are you located, Racheal?
Well, I personally am located in Dallas, Texas, but
Okay.
you're more than welcome to call me anytime. I don't know if you want me to just say my phone number.
Yeah.
Everyone to reach out. It's 203-350-6911. That's the best number to reach me at. And then you can also reach out to me via email. My email address is Racheal, Rachel, .woods, WOODS, @raveispurchase.com. So easiest way to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions. We can book one-on-one meetings and I can kind of go through your situation with you one-on-one and we can figure out the best solution. Whatever's easiest for you, I'm very available.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for joining us. And
Thank you.
Ladies, thanks for attending as well.
Yeah,
Everybody have
thank
a
you.
great day.
Thank you.
Bye.